We've all felt the problem of God's hiddenness, and have at some time cried out, "Where are you, God?" But unlike theists, atheists think this is a reason to reject belief in God, since if God existed and desired a relationship with us, He would at least ensure that we were all convinced that He exists.
Well, yeah. I think it'd be rather nice to know whether I'm dedicating my entire life to a total scam. Is that really so unreasonable? Let's do this.
BionicDance's YouTube channel.
Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. And Columbia. Let's face it, perhaps the biggest stumbling block to belief in God is that the dude never puts in a personal appearance. Can't prove he's real, we're told to have faith instead, and that's just plain not good enough. That's why I call myself an apistivist, someone who doesn't use faith to come to conclusions. But this fella thinks it's totally cool, we don't need to see God to believe in him. Well, bully for you, fella. If you want other people to agree, sometimes you gotta give us more than what worked for you.
It's true that God hasn't immediately presented Himself to our intellect to where nothing needs to be done on our part. But why is it necessary that God do this in order to be good?
Come on, it is kind of an asshole thing to do. God says, "Believe in me, dedicate your life to me. Don't do a lot of completely harmless things 'cause I said so. Do a lot of really obnoxious things 'cause I said so. But I'm never going to prove that I'm real and you're not just wasting what seems to be the only life you have." Would you accept that for anything other than religion? If not, why does religion get to be the big ol' exception? Now, I don't believe a God is real because none has ever been proved to me. So I actually think that this is a scam being perpetuated by humans, some who don't know any better and some who are scamming people out of money or seeking some sort of control over the populace. But whether that's so or if a God really does exist, either way, it's kind of a dick move.
From the Christian theist's perspective, God has at least made it possible to know that He exists by providing sufficient evidence through nature and revelation.
The problem with nature as an explanation for God is that it's natural. We don't need a God to explain it. God is unnecessary. Nature does what it does, and a God does not appear in the equation at all. As for revelation, now we're back in the territory of what has convinced you not being enough for other people. I hear what revelation is supposed to be, and it sounds like fairy tales and legends. So you say this is from the Christian's perspective. And that's the problem. Who is it you're trying to convince? You're literally and figuratively preaching to the choir. Try to convince me with the kind of evidence I'd need to accept the existence of anything besides God. Will you? Can you?
For example, there are many philosophical arguments that give good reasons to believe that God exists.
You can prove that anything exists philosophically. The real test is whether it can stand up to being challenged in the physical world. God allegedly exists outside of our minds. Any proof of His existence is going to have to at least be potentially vulnerable to physical evidence, otherwise it can be discarded as a purely intellectual concept. In other words, as imagination.
Some even demonstrating His existence, the 5 ways of St. Thomas Aquinas being the most popular.
All of which have been shown to be flawed and fallacious many, many times. Getting into them would take a video unto itself. Point is, those arguments are only going to be convincing to those who already believe in a God or those who want there to be one.
There's also good reason to believe that God has revealed Himself through Jesus of Nazareth. That reason being Jesus' resurrection from the dead.
Which is another story that remains unproved. I'm pretty sure the choir has heard this one already. Try again.
As to why God doesn't immediately present Himself to our intellect, I think the answer is found partially in the good of rational inquiry. Rational inquiry belongs to man's unique mode of knowledge. And since God relates to man in accord with His nature, it's befitting God's goodness to allow man to rationally inquire about his existence.
Let's suppose for a moment, just for a moment, that I accept that as true. When it comes to the existence of something that is more than just an idea, one requirement is physical data, testable data, which is something God has never provided. Yeah, argument from design, blah, blah, blah. Don't even bother. You can't point to the universe and say that it's too complex to exist without a God building it. That's neither convincing nor rational. You say that God wants us to rationally seek his existence, but it's precisely because I'm being rational that I don't believe in him.
Of course, with this comes the possibility of error. But just because someone might not arrive at the right conclusion about God, it doesn't follow that person is automatically damned.
The right conclusion about God.
God doesn't hold someone accountable for ignorance that he or she is not responsible for.
Oh, Hebrews 11:6. And without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Romans 14:23. But whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because the eating is not from faith. For whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. Sounds to me like you gotta be pretty believy or you're gonna fry.
So, although God could make his existence more obvious and give the answer in the back of the book, so to speak, the fact that he doesn't is not a good reason to embrace atheism.
Embrace atheism? I don't embrace atheism. I don't know anybody who embraces atheism. That's like embracing not building model airplanes. Okay, sure, I argue against religion, but as I've said many times, it's in self-defense. If theists could learn to share and play nice with the other kids, I'd shut up. I mean, it helps that I don't think a God exists, but it's foolish to say that I've embraced atheism. What's actually happened is that God's PR team has done a lousy job of selling their product. It's like trying to convince me to buy evaporated water or that the emperor is wearing clothes. It's not gonna happen.
If you want to learn more about this topic and others like it,
I don't. Go away. Before I go, I have some thank you shout-outs. First to my good buddy DataJack, who sent me a double-wide buttload of new t-shirts. Like this one, and also this one. I'm all for these delicious delicious stroop waffles. There's also this Tron t-shirt. I absolutely adore Tron. The original, not that cinematic abortion they tried to call a sequel. I don't know if that shirt is from someone else. There was no note and it came in a completely different batch, but either way, thanks. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think. Captain's log. We are investigating an asteroid field where we've had reports of strange signals. So far, we've found nothing, but our reconnaissance continues.
Captain, unidentified object approaching.
Scan object.
Aye, scanning object.
Captain, the object appears to be bombarding us with Patreon particles.
Is there any damage?
None. In fact, it seems to be giving us even more strength.
Fascinating. It seems that Patreon beams are a benefit to our mission. We must seek out more Patreonic life forms. Plot course and prepare to engage Bionic Drive. Droids don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when their videos aren't rated. Bionic dances are known to do that.